I want to have a community, and pottery just happened to be the conduit for that community. So when I make pottery, I'm just thinking about the community, thinking about the family, I'm thinking about the friends, I'm thinking about people coming together. So that's the fundamental aspect about my work.
What if you could change lives through clay and through your pottery? What is up, Shaping Nation? This is Nick Torres here. And on this episode of Shaping Your Pottery, I got to interview Rich Brown. Rich is an amazing person. In this episode, you will learn how Rich thinks about service first for his pottery. You'll learn about how building relationship is the best thing that you can do for your business, for yourself, and to inspire others. And finally, you also learn about not getting stuck with one single style and also being able to go back to that style you used to have before. And there's so much more in this episode. It is jam packed. I hope you guys enjoy it because I know I did. I'll see you guys in there. Rich, welcome to Shaping Your Pottery, and share with me, what is something potters should be doing to have success in
Well,
pottery?
thanks for having me on, Nick. What are some of the things that potters should be doing to have success? I would say is like build relationships. Get out there and build as many relationships as possible because that will help you when it comes to revenue. And that's how I really grew my business by getting out and talking to local people. I get out and talk to people nationally and even international. I'm like a social butterfly. I'm everywhere. Yesterday, we spent some time in North Georgia, some friends and I. So we were getting footage for a documentary that I started in April of last year, Changing Lives Through Clay, where we traveled across the United States and visited potters in different places of people who made pottery to just build those and form those relationships. Yesterday, we were at the Folk Pottery Museum of North Georgia, and then we went to a store called Mark of the Potter that's been there forever in Clarksville, Georgia. And I actually sell stuff wholesale at Mark of the Potter. So it's just about getting out, building relationships, and building this pottery community. So I would tell all potters, because we get stuck in our studios, to get out of your studios and just build relationships with everybody.
Absolutely. I love that so much. So we're going to talk more about changing lives through clay in just a bit. But for now, tell me the story of how you got started in
Well,
ceramics.
it's a story of I started at the age of 32. That's the first time I ever can recall seeing a potter's wheel was at the age of 32. So probably before that, I saw a video on YouTube of a guy making mugs for a coffee shop. And I said, I was just amazed at seeing this ball of clay be transformed into this mug. And he put the logo on it, the handles on it. And it was 6 weeks later, there was just maybe 60 coffee mugs. And I just thought that was just amazing to see that process from mud or clay to a finished product. So there was a store that I would pass, well, a studio I would pass. It's called Mudfire in Decatur, Georgia. And I would pass it on the way to the farmer's market. And it said pottery lessons inside. So one day I just decided to take a quick lesson. And from that lesson, I was just hooked. And that was the start of pottery. It was from a YouTube video to a pottery class to now being a full-time potter.
Absolutely love that. I can't wait to hear about it in a little bit more. But for now, as you mentioned earlier, you mentioned changing lives through clay. Tell me the story about
Well, I
this.
had this vision from about maybe 2017 to hit the country. I always wanted to take a road trip across the United States. And I wanted to take that road trip, I think it was 2017, 2018, and visit different potters. And just different things just set it back. And then I was about to take the trip, and COVID happened. It set it back again. And all of these things happened on purpose because in 2017, I didn't know as many potters and I didn't have as many connections. And it's the same thing as 2020. I didn't have the connections and the potters, and I also didn't have the friends that assisted me on the trip by taking the video and the film. The universe knew what was going on and postponed the trip year after year until I was ready to actually execute the trip properly. So it was 25 states in 26 days and over 41 interviews. And it's not finished yet.
Wow. Over these 25 states that you visited and 41 interviews, what is something that you have learned that just kind of really stuck with you?
How wonderful the pottery community is and how accepting the pottery community is because there's no one that I asked that said no. Everybody was inviting. We stayed at people's homes. They brought us into their homes. Four individuals that they didn't know. But pottery brought us together. And from the first day that I took a pottery class, that was the same thing. The community of pottery is so accepting. And my friends,
Definitely agree.
everybody were they were videographers. I was the only potter, but they invited them, they accepted them, they fed them, they fed us, all the same. So that's the one thing I can say about the pottery community is that if you care about it, you're willing to learn, the pottery community is going to accept you.
So you mentioned that you had plenty of setbacks. So like what helped you with preparing for you to actually get this off the road, off the ball rolling?
Friends, friends, just I have a really tight knit group of friends, and it's great because a lot of them are videographers and photographers. The help of friends and the help from people who follow me on social media because I got a lot of funding just through fundraisers through social media. And there are many companies that helped me out. Gift and Grip helped me out. Speedball helped me out. Amico helped me out. Standard helped me out. So there were different companies, and I apologize if I don't remember anybody. Diamond Core helped me out. A lot of these companies trusted in what I was doing and helped me and assisted me on getting this adventure underway.
How long has so how many more states do you hope to hit and how many more
Oh
interviews do you
man,
hope
it's
to
gonna
hit?
probably it's it's probably gonna be so we have 41 interviews. It no, we have more than 41 now. We might be at about close to 50. We didn't do the East Coast. And then my friends are like, we have to go to Canada and we're talking about going overseas. This is going to be something that's just going to be really, really big. And we're just going to have this and we're just going to put it in a location where everybody can see it. But it's really changing lives through clay, and people can see how my life has changed through clay. We're still collecting footage of my life and my journey through this whole entire clay process.
So how has your life changed through clay?
I started to understand who I was because I was a teacher for 17 years. And, when you have a job that's going to pay you, we got paid monthly. When you know that check is coming monthly, you you just know that you're going to be all right. Now I don't know what's going to happen the next month because I'm a full-time potter and I have a family of four. Pottery has really made me focus on what I want to do. I'm intentional about everything I do. It's given me the freedom to spend more time with my family, and because as a teacher, I might go to work at 7 and then I might come home at 12. So I was spending a lot of time raising other people's kids. But since my son started kindergarten, so that's how I know when I started full time because he's in the fourth grade now. This is year 5 of me going full time. I've been able to take him to school every day. It's given me that opportunity to have time that I can be with my kids. And it's just like it's almost therapy and meditative every day because I'm in the studio by myself. And sometimes it's 12 hours and you're just in your thoughts about what your next move and what you plan on doing with your life. And it's a lot of moments to think. And I get that by being a full time potter.
Absolutely love. We're going to talk more about you becoming a full-time potter in a little bit, but for now let's talk about your pottery. In one sentence, can you tell me what you make?
Functional pottery that should be used on a daily basis.
Perfect one sentence. So tell me the story how you started making the pottery that you make today.
Well, it was from that first video, just seeing the guy making mugs. So I was just into that mug thing, and I still am today because it's something that's being used every single day by many people. And I try to make it as classic, as simple, that people feel that they can use it daily. And I try to make it comfortable as well. So it's something that they go to every day because now I'm a part of their conversation. And I believe in energy. So I believe that my energy and my intention is with that person every single day. I'm a part of their conversation every single day. So I just try to keep it to the fundamental, classic, affordable, where somebody feels that they can even use the product. And that's the lane that I stay in.
I love that. Shaping Nation, the intention, the energy you put into your pottery is going to show off to other people that actually buy it and see it. I love that so much. You are inspired by people, as you have mentioned before. How does this impact the way you make your pottery?
I, I, I was thinking about this the other day, maybe about 2 days ago, and when I first started pottery and I took that class at Mudfire, when I took the class at Mudfire, I never said to myself, I never had the thought to say, let me do pottery for myself. My intention was at Mudfire, I just love the pottery community. So from day one, I said, I want to have a community. And pottery just happened to be the conduit for that community. So when I make pottery, I'm just thinking about the community, thinking about the family, I'm thinking about the friends, I'm thinking about people coming together. So that's the fundamental aspect about my work. It's about bringing people together. And that's my take on how I create things. Can I create things where people can gather and people are going to use
I
it?
love that. I love that so much. I love that approach because that's like you're not just thinking about yourself or your party. You're thinking about other people and like how to bring them joy, bring them a little bit more happiness in life. I love that. Something I found interesting from your website is you said your mission is to provide functional art that can be used on in a daily basis. Can you explain this to me some more?
Yeah, just, when you get up in the morning, when I get up in the morning, the first thing I have is either tea or coffee. I want my mug to be that vessel. And I'm thinking about it not for me, I'm thinking about it for someone else. Because for the longest, I never used my own stuff. Like it was almost taboo. I never felt comfortable using my work because I just think it's for somebody else. And I think I live a life of service. So I don't think about me, I just think about the other person. A lot of people, they make work that resonates with them. The way my work resonates with myself is through other people using it.
So, do you use your pottery now?
Once in a while, but it's not something that I do. It's very weird. And I couldn't even explain it to you.
Can you give me a brief explanation on how you make use the slip to add to your pottery?
Well, I've used slip in the past, and then I just brought it back, and it just gives different variations, different original marks in my work, and I really just got into that again, and now it's crazy because I'm kind of stepping out from it again. I get into phases where if you look at my work, you can tell my work, but it always changes. I don't want to ever get stuck into one style. I just want to be able to create. I just want to be a creator and just create different things and create what I want to create for the day. And there's not one thing in particular, like the slip work that I just recently did. I just won't always do that. I'm going back to basics because with the slip work too, it's more advanced, takes more time, so I have to raise the price point. I understand where a lot of people are financially. I know where I am financially. Why I ease back sometimes to create that one dip, one glaze, affordable piece of art. And I'm thinking of these things. I'm thinking of, am I making something that I can share, that I can even afford? I know sometimes it's not the best way to think about it, but I'm thinking about it in the business sense of trying to survive as well, and just thinking about, can the teacher afford this? Because I was a teacher, so I'm making things that resonates and people can access. And I know you were asking me about slip, but slip is something that I might do it this month because next month I'm going to be doing gas firing, and then after that I'll be doing soda firing for like the next 2 months. I'm here and there with my work.
How do you know when it's time to change up your pottery? Because you say you don't want to be stuck with one style. You want to keep it evolving. How do you know when it's time to change?
It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. It's what I feel like I need to do at that particular time. There's no logic or reason behind it. It might not be the best thing to do because people can get stuck on a certain style, and financially that might be the right thing. But I also I want to have that creative freedom. So I don't say, well, I'm going to do this at this time. Now, when it comes to the wood firing, soda firing, those things, I select those based on if I can get to the facility that I can do those things. So I have a residency coming up at the Hambridge Center next month, November 7th to the 19th, and I'll have access to a gas kiln. And then in December, I'll be going to Queen City Clay in Cincinnati, and I'll have access to soda fire. So those things are shaping how I'll be doing my next batch of work.
I love that. Shaping Nation, you don't have to be stuck doing the same thing over and over again. And you can always go back to the things that you've done previously before. You're never stuck. You can always keep evolving your pottery. I love that. Let's talk about the business side of pottery. Can you tell me about the moment when you decided to go full time with your pottery?
Well, it was 5 years ago. My story's really different because I had patron Zach Brown. He's a country singer, a Grammy Award winning country singer. And I was selling my work at the farmer's market, and he would see me all the time. And he said, have you ever thought about doing this full time? And I said, yes, but I have a family to think about, and I didn't want to lose insurance. I couldn't just make that jump. So he just came to me one day and he was like, I have a big company, whatever assistance you need, I can help you start your career. And I didn't think, I just thought he was just talking to be talking. But I didn't reach out to him, and he called me. He said, "Well, where's the phone call?" And I went over to his house, and he said, "What do you need?" And I had all the equipment that I needed, but he helped me out by providing insurance and providing me with a salary to begin the journey of clay. And then I did that for 2 years, and then I've been independent for the past three.
I absolutely love that. That's a really great story. So, what would you say has been your biggest obstacle since you started going full time?
The biggest obstacle is always sales, trying to find a market. And that's why you have to go out and build these relationships. You can get some wholesale things because social media is a weird, Instagram was once where they'd share your work with everybody. Now they don't. The algorithms change. The people who actually follow you to see what you do don't even see your work. I get so many DMs and it was like, I didn't even know you were still creating pottery. I don't see your work anymore. You have to do the due diligence of collecting the email list and just being persistent, persistent, persistent. So it's always about the sale. So with me and the other full-time potters that I talk to, it's just about how do you always get that market to sell, to sell, to sell, so you can provide for your life. And what people don't realize is they see your work. Social media is just a big scam. Like they see your work, they see that you're selling stuff, but I don't think people put it together that you're selling your stuff to live. It's almost like they think you might be selling your stuff to just hoard money, but the work you make, you're paying rent, you're paying insurance, you're paying when the car breaks, like you're paying for your children in school. So it's always about just being able to get into the market where people can see your stuff, you can sell your stuff. So it's always the obstacle for me is always sales. And I think once you're in any business, that's what your obstacle is going to be, unless you're just a very, very big popular brand. But as a small business owner, more than likely is always how to increase your sales.
Absolutely. You have mentioned building relationships a couple times. How can other potters build relationships with people?
Just talk. And a lot of people are, a lot of introverts, that's really hard to do. But practice. I will, I'm not, it's not going out of my way now, but I just talk. If it's the person at the cash register, I'll say, "How are you doing?" Like, "How is your day?" But I think because I generally care about how somebody's day is going. So that just small conversation can lead into bigger conversations. So how was your day? How was your day? Oh, thanks for asking. A lot of people get that, like, "Oh wow, you asked me how I was doing." We live in a world where we don't ask people how they're doing. Just start with that because it just leads on to different things. It just leads on and it will just keep leading. And if you can consistently do it, it'll come back. More of it will come back and build relationships with everyone. Not just
Absolutely
yeah,
love that.
just not just potters, just everyone.
Absolutely love that. Shaping Nation, if you are maybe overthinking about how to build relationship, the first step is just to start talking, just to be interested into them, and it'll start snowballing
Yeah, and
eventually. I
then
love that so
you don't
much.
have to, but if you're in a business, to be good at business, you have to have relationships, and you have to have people who want to purchase what you're creating in the business world. As small as potters are in the business world, we have to forge those relationships.
How do you leverage relationships to help you sell your own pottery?
I don't. It's never a leverage, and it's not a game. It's just being authentic. How are you doing today? And it's not like I'm not thinking
Hmm.
about pottery. I'm not thinking about pottery when I'm talking to you. It's just how are you doing? And the conversation might come like, "What are you doing?" "I do pottery." At that point, I still don't force the issue. I'm not forcing the issue to sell anything. It's just maybe this is what I do. That might come up in the conversation, but it's just being genuine about who you are and who they are. That's it.
Absolutely love that. So what are the steps someone should be taking if they want to start being able to start selling their own pottery?
I would say if you're in a job already, get out to your local. It could be a farmers market, craft fairs, social media. Build a website and start to see if you can create work that people are interested in buying. So see if there's a base first, and see if you're making work in a reasonable amount of time for the price point. Because if you spend much time on one piece, if you're spending 10 hours on a piece and you're going to sell that piece for $120, you have to realize in a 40-hour week, you don't have that much. So you just have to think, is your work and time, is it feasible? Because that's going to be your only revenue if you're going to go in a pottery field. So these are just the things you think about. And when I first started watching like pottery videos on YouTube a long time ago, maybe about 12 years ago. I believe Simon Leach was like, in a production pottery kind of setting, you want to be able to create at least 20 things an hour. And my things are really basic in terms of the adornment of it, the aesthetics of it, except for that, like the slip collection I had. And like this pumpkin stuff took a lot more time. But if I'm doing the basic fundamental stuff that I normally do, I can easily crank 30 mugs out in an hour. I know that I can generate that revenue as well.
I love that. Let's talk about discovering your voice. Can you tell me about the moment when you knew you were heading the right direction with your pottery?
Well, the studio where I started at Mudfire, there was over, I think there could have been 150 members at that time, and the members were people who are really well known in the pottery community. On the cover of Ceramic Month, I could be sitting next to somebody who's been doing it forever, really good at it. I'm a beginner. So I was in year 3, and a studio rule is you don't touch anybody's work. I'm in the back and I'm looking at the glaze returns, and I don't see my stuff in the bisque stuff, and I don't see my stuff in the glaze stuff. And I'm walking back and forth and just looking at people's work because the work was amazing. So we had beginners and professionals there. And I saw a bowl, and inside the bowl, it looked like outer space. And it was a beautiful bowl. It was yellow on the outside, black on the inside. And I can't find my work. And rule number 1, don't touch anybody else's work. I picked up that bowl, but it was my bowl. And I just didn't know what the glaze was going to turn out to be. I'm looking for my work, and I was looking at my work, and I was in love with my work. And then that gave me the confidence to say, hey, I could do this, because I saw my work as better than anything else there for the first time because of what the glaze did. And I said, this is something that I possibly can do.
I love that. So we're going to come back to you contribute your growth as an artist to traveling and meeting other potters. Can you tell me more about this?
You get inspiration, you get stories, you see where people are coming from, you see different backgrounds. And that goes back to that whole community aspect of like my work. Like I'm inspired by people. On the trip, I was inspired by a student at a school in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Bradford High School, Kenosha, Wisconsin. And he was a black male student. There were 2 students on the potter's wheel, and when I came in the classroom, I said, can I throw with you? And I threw with him, and he said, I'm so glad you're here. He whispered, he was like, I'm so glad you're here. And I said, okay. I said, why? He was like, I'm glad to see somebody who looks like me. So that inspires me to keep going. That inspires me to keep sharing because people are looking up to me. And I taught a class at Penland in North Carolina, the Craft Center. And there is a young man doing an artist residency there as well. And we had a conversation for about 45 minutes. And at the end of the conversation, he said, I have one favor to ask of you. And I said, what is that? And he said, can I get a hug? And I was like, yeah, sure. Because he was another black male who saw maybe a future through me because of what I was doing and the outreach that I was making. And then the last thing that was really inspiring was Bill Strickland, who has the Manchester Gill Craft in Pittsburgh. And he's a 75-year-old black male. I'm looking at him as, wow, I can actually dream as big as he can because he has a learning center. The entire community comes to him to learn on a super high level. And he owns a lot of property in the area, and he's giving back so much to the community where he grew up. And I never dreamt as big as what he has. And just seeing him just made me say, oh, I can really do a lot with this pottery thing. If I'm in my studio and if I don't see that on social media, because social media a lot of times doesn't share good news. Most of the time it's not going to share good news. So if I didn't get out there and I didn't explore and find this good news and find this positive imagery, I would never know those things exist. So I have younger people looking up to me, and then I have older people that I'm looking up to. So it's a continuous thing. It's generations. Because he could really be my dad and they can really be my sons. So just seeing that progression makes me continue to do what I do.
Absolutely love that. Shaping Nation, the more relationships you build, the more people you can inspire, and the more you can learn, and the more you can get inspired as well. I love that so much. What advice would you give to someone that is looking to discover their own unique voice with their pottery?
Everybody has a different road to take. So everything that I'm saying works for me. It might not work for the other potter. And that's the thing. You have to be authentically you and you have to find what works for you. Somebody, the way I'm talking about relationship, the other potter can find that peace with solitude and being totally isolated. So I can never make that decision. But what I can tell you is that if you're really passionate about what you're doing and what we're talking about is pottery, you're going to be guided. And you can say it's God, you can say it's the universe, but something is going to guide you in the right way if you're truly passionate about this craft, this art that we do. And you'll find your own voice. But I think you should be authentic and just be who you are. So you might be listening to me, yeah, and
Absolutely.
my advice is it's just my interpretation and it's my journey. It might not be your journey. And all I could do is just share my opinions with you. And you can take it and you can try to implement it, or you can just follow what your destiny is telling you to. You got to really follow your heart.
Absolutely. As we're coming to a close here, what is one thing you want to hammer home with my audience today?
Just, I would like to hammer home, think about people. I always say sometimes I'm not the best person for a talk like we're having about pottery because I jump away from the clay because creating pottery is secondary to the life and the people that we are. The relationship that we're having right now, this whole talk of you sharing this with other people. Even though it's about clay, it's about you introducing the community of clay with people who are in clay. So the premise and the first and foremost thing is the people. So because you could have just had a blank screen with a piece of my pottery there. That's not helping anyone. But it's this conversation and this dialogue that we're having that's helping. I would just think of people first. There's so much going on in the world, and we're just blessed to be in a place where we can sell a mug for the prices that we sell it for. And people will even listen to us because a lot of people, that's the least thing that they're thinking or having to worry about. People are just thinking about how to survive day to day. And we're blessed that we could be here talking about pottery. I really focus and I'll hammer home like just think about being present. Think about your family, your friends, your community. Think about you. Yeah, just think about I'm about the people first.
Excellent. I love that. That was some excellent parting words of advice. Rich, it was really great chatting with you today. Where can my audience go and learn more about you?
Well, pottery32.com. That's the website. I'm always putting stuff up on Instagram at pottery32. We'll be sharing more footage and as the changing lives through clay things manifests itself because it's going to be a couple of year project because we're just getting information on how pottery is changing my life. If you go to pottery32 or if you just go to Instagram, you'll see what